Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have another custom tactic to review. As you guys know, with custom tactics, there are multiple to review. There's always going to be like different types. I like to review the different types because some people are always interested in having a different type of playstyle, right? So, guys, this is going to be for the 4-1-2-2 from Japes. Okay, so guys, Japes is the most unique custom tactics maker, in my opinion, in the FIFA community, right? So whatever tactic he ends up making for whatever formation, it's never like default meta stuff. It is stuff that can work in the meta that is sometimes insane, right? Now, what I will say is that for the 4-1-2-2 formation in general, I'm not a massive fan of it this year, okay? I do prefer to use wide-oriented formations, right? So whether it's a 4-2-2, 4-2-3-1, even a 4-4-2, I just feel like that is more of a personal preference, right? I don't really like to have a super narrow-minded formation that can be played wide, but then very vulnerable in the middle, right? It's just kind of the way that I see FIFA when I'm playing it, right? But this 4-1-2-2 is a very, very unique one. It's probably one that you guys have not seen in regards to how it kind of performs on the pitch, right? So the custom tactics that Japes has for this 4-1-2-2 is going to be set up as so. So we have it set up, like this, right? So we have pressure on heavy touch, width for 45, 75 for depth for the defensive playstyle. The offensive playstyle is going to be on slow build-up, direct passing, 35 for width, and then 7 for players in the box, right? So what this tactic is going to be a very aggressive 4-1-2-2 where you really congest the 18-yard box as much as possible. So it is a goal scoring type of formation that can be vulnerable in defense, which is why I always tell you guys that you want to get full meta cards in your defense as much as possible, right? So if you can somehow put Malacia, Varane, Koulibaly, and Kyle Walker in the team, do it, because a formation like this is going to be crazy when it comes to defending, right? Defending is going to be a little bit weird, right? Guys, the instructions is going to be like this, right? So you have the fullbacks both on join the attack, okay? Both on join the attack. Your CDM is going to be on cut, passing lane, stay back while attacking, cover center, as well as deep lying playmaker, right? That's the new instruction that EA has for this game. For the right center mid and the left center mid, you want to keep them on stay back while attacking drift wide. It just makes a lot of sense for how this team kind of performs in game, because the drift wide part will make runs to wide areas of the pitch, right? Which is gonna provide that width for you, but can be vulnerable in the middle of the pitch, right? So it just depends on the type of situation. The cam is on stay forward free roam, right? Stay forward free roam. The right striker on stay central target man, and then the left striker is on drift wide getting behind. So the types of players, guys, that I have for this team does not fit this formation, okay? So you have to make sure that with any formation, any tactic that you use, you get the right players. Defense, there's really not much to say. Like I said earlier, you want to get players that are as full meta as possible. These guys are not it. All 4 of them, chalk them, okay? You can use them in the beginning of the year. Once you hit like Division 6, 5-ish, you need to get better players. It's really annoying when you have bad defenders, like you guys saw in that one Road to Glory episode, right? Once we got players like Kimpembe and Varane, significantly better, especially Malacia, because Malacia is very underrated this year because he's very good, right? But the CDM, you want to try your best to get someone who is medium high work rate that can provide some pretty decent passes, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be like the craziest dribbler. It just needs to be a really good medium high work rated player. So, you know, someone like Palinga, it wouldn't be a terrible option to work with. Nice goal. Nice goal, nice goal. Diogo Jota, he's got those shooting capabilities, I'll tell you that much. There we go. Quick little fake shot to open up the space. Well done, well done. Well done. That's Nuno Mendes getting involved in the attack, eh? Look at that. That's interesting. Let's go, boys. So the one thing that you realize about this formation tactic is that you really don't want to lose the ball in bad areas of the middle of the pitch, right? If you lose the ball in bad areas in the middle of the pitch, that's where you're going to have problems, you know? Because it's just easy counters for days. That's why you want to have like top tier meta defenders, like I always tell you guys this year. But it's just the heavy congestion up top that people find bothersome, right? Kickoffs are absolutely wild this year, but yeah, you're just overcommitting attackers like crazy, like really congesting them up top. Nice. Good stuff, boys. It's always nice to have the 5-star skills to do the moving scoop turn in those areas, eh? Good job. Utilizing that new skill move to get into the right position for the cross-body shot. Let's go. Improve your defenders, guys. Trust me, it was irritating me a lot during that road to glory. I've conceded a kickoff from bad defending. I've conceded 2 kickoffs, actually. But it's because the defenders are not good. Nice goal, boys. Well done. Nice. Good job, good job. Now, I will say that Japes is pretty wild for this in regards to the players that he currently has in his team. He puts Rodri as a CDM. I personally want to be able to use Rodri because with Rodri's card, guys, you would have to give him an anchor chemistry style to keep him as a lengthy player, right? To accelerate and move into those open areas very quickly. Not accelerate, but in the long runs, he would be able to catch up. But the pace would still be too low. For me, I think a card like Palinha is definitely going to be a pretty good option to have in that situation. But you want anybody that has, you know, that medium high work rates, the weak foot, decent passing capabilities to play in that position. So Palinha is definitely a pretty good option to work with. You can see that some other players that he's working with here is players like Varane, DePaul, Rodrigo. Is it Rodrigo? I think it's Rodrigo, right? Is it? Or Rodrigo? Is it Rodrigo DePaul? I think it is, right? I'm pretty sure it's Rodrigo. It is Rodrigo. Good. I got it. DePaul, by the way, guys, is a very underrated card in this game. He is very, very solid. Not a card I would give an Architect to. I would still give him a Shadow. You know, Architect would make him a lengthy player, but maybe in the future when they have, you know, some new cards added into the game, they do some certain stat increases and his base card stats for defense is higher, then I'd probably wouldn't mind giving him the Architect chemistry style. But an Architect would not be a bad option either because of the physical and passing boost. In this case, for his center mid position, because they are cards that could potentially attack, having more passing and more physical capabilities would not be a terrible thing to work with, right? Especially since these guys are going to be more aggressive, pushing up, so the lengthy will actually help with them pushing back as well, right? So it's just something that you can think about. Again, no right or wrong, it's just completely personal preference based, but DePaul, Varane are not bad options, right? If you have Renato Sanchez in your team, he'd be a good option. I was using Mateus Nunes, but Mateus Nunes needs some sort of promo card in the future for him to be good. But you need cards that are going to be good at both attacking and defending. That's going to be a very, very important thing for how this formation actually moves in game. With your cam, you can see that he's using Paulo Dybala. Dybala is perfectly fine to use in that position. Players like Bernardo Silva, Diogo Jota can definitely play those areas of the pitch really well as well. So definitely something that people should look into. Now, the strikers is going to be a very important topic to talk about, okay? Because obviously for my team, it does not fit what it's supposed to be for this type of formation and tactic, okay? But it still performs okay because with Rashford, you know, not necessarily being like super physical like a Diego Milito in his case, right? He's still a little bit physical, right? Because he's 6'1", he's got that body type, right? He can hold off a little bit, but the physical guys is what you're going to want for this formation, right? So let's say, for instance, you're using players like Ronaldo, or you're using Holland, or you're using, well, Ronaldo and Holland would be a waste on the target man. Players like Diego Milito actually fits that target man instruction really well, like a little bit more, right? Because Holland and Ronaldo, you kind of want them to make those runs, right? Holland especially, because Holland's runs in behind the defense is really, really good, which he'll do sometimes on target man, but a player like Diego Milito will do it a little bit more, right? So you really want that physical oriented striker playing in that right striker position. And then your left striker could be like the more agile type of player, right? A player like Correa, Ben Yedder would not be terrible to work with, because again, with the stronger type of players playing in that right striker position, you're actually going to open up the pitch for other people when you make that one pass, when they're kind of like pushed up against the defenders, you know, because there's so many opportunities where I'll pass the ball into Rashford and Rashford does not offer that same physical presence. So I think another player that you could potentially use is someone like the Sorloth card, right? Because he's a physical type player. If you were to, you know, give him like a Hawk chemistry style or something and turn him into a lengthy player, this would be something that you could totally work with, because his physical is like super high, and he's actually a very, very solid card in game, right? Definitely should have done his review at some point, because people have enjoyed him and he seems to be very, very good, right? So again, physical type striker is actually pretty solid this year. So Sorloth is actually pretty nice to use if you play with him in that right way, right? So yeah, definitely a very interesting tactic to use. I've enjoyed it for what it is. I will say, like I said earlier, I do prefer to have the wide formations, right? This 4-1-2-2 is a very good one for people that want to play that aggressive play style. Japes always offers very, very unique custom tactics that allows you to use different types of players, which is always a massive plus, right? What I will say about this formation is that you do need to be very careful in the defense. You will be vulnerable in defense. That's why you want to have full meta players as much as possible in that area. But where it becomes really fun when it comes to this formation and tactic is going to be in the attack, because you are overly congesting their defense like crazy, okay? And that's what you want to aim for when playing with a formation and tactic like this. So yeah, definitely a nice one. Again, I do prefer the wider formations this year, so I'm looking forward to him creating like a 4-4-2. I want to see like a nice like 4-4-1-1 or 4-1-4-1, something like that, because those ones I feel like could be pretty decent to use in this year's game. So Japes is like probably one of the few people that I would trust to actually make a good formation and tactic for those types of formations, you know, not like generic meta ones. The 4-2-3-1 from Boris is still my favorite tactic to use in this game, still a tactic I will use. I would say that another problem with the 4-1-2-2 guys is going to be rotation policy, right? Your rotation policy with a formation like the 4-1-2-2, it's not as good, because you cannot switch wide. Like you can't switch wide to play narrow, because we don't have that many players that can attack and defend really well, but can play in a main attacking position. For instance, if you're playing a 4-2-3-1 and he's playing left attacking mid or right attacking mid, he needs to have defensive stats for you to be able to rotate into a 4-1-2-2. So if you choose this 4-1-2-2, it's going to be difficult for you to switch to like a 4-2-3-1, because you're going to have to make a substitute if you actually do that, right? So that's another problem, but that goes both ways for the wide formation to the narrow, right? So this one you would have to really stick with a narrow formation for it to work. But yeah, this defense, the goalkeeper, you got to improve all that. That is the main part of the team, okay? Then the rest, you can get some pretty generic types of strikers. I had Diogo Jota on the team. Honestly, if I didn't want to play Diogo Jota as the cam, he could have been my physical or somewhat physical type player as well, right? But you want to get someone that has a little bit more physical capabilities, like a Sorloth or something, you know? But yeah, enjoy the highlights, guys. I will see you guys for the next video. Peace out, dudes. Love you guys.